Hello, friend. For those who don't know me, I'm Chad Husted, project manager working remotely from my home in Southeast Michigan, just north of Toledo. I've been married since 1999, and we have one young adult son. I'm passionate about my healthy living journey and helping others to overcome obstacles to be their healthy best in mind, body, and soul. So when you get bored, you can check out my podcast, Mental Fitness Unscripted, on your favorite platform. I regularly publish content for my website and social channels to encourage people in healthy living because I'm compelled to share what I'm learning. Today, I'm presenting a summary of James Clear's book, Atomic Habits, to equip you with the principles of habits so you can apply them to your life. But before we get into the 4 laws of lasting healthy habits, we need to understand some fundamentals. And before we dig into that, I need you to prepare yourself, to get ready to take some notes and consider some actions you can take starting today to help you sustain healthy habits. So I'm not going to tell you exactly what to do and exactly how to do anything today, but I will share principles about how our brains work and how habits work, and it's really great information. But information does not change you. You must apply what you learn. So then, unlike most presentations, I offer you an opportunity for personal follow-up. When you reach out to me, I'll share some additional resources, and if there's enough interest, I can do another class to dive deeper into these concepts. Does that sound good? Okay. Have you heard of the magic penny? You are offered a choice between $3 million today or a single penny that doubles in value every day for a month. Which would you choose? Most choose the $3 million, but they are mistaken. A penny that doubles every day takes a long time to build momentum, and by day 29, you still have less than $3 million, but then the magic happens. If your month has 31 days, you end up with $10 million. And so this is the magic of compounding. We expect compounding to work in our retirement accounts, but the principle also applies to habits. Habits are the compound interest of self-improvement. The choices that lead to life-altering change are very small. And since we all want to be successful, we must believe that success is the product of daily habits, not once in a lifetime transformations. Too often we look for the latest get rich quick scheme because we want the results right now, but that's just not how it works. Whether you look at your savings account or your waistline, the results you have today did not happen overnight, but by a long string of choices over time. So please hear me on this. Compounding is real and it's powerful, and it's defining the course of your life both for you and against you based on every decision you make. So let that sink in for a minute. I'll say it again. Compounding is real and it's powerful, and it's defining the course of your life right now, both for you and against you, based on every decision you make. Next, your outcomes are a lagging measure of your habits. So consider an ice cube in a 20-degree freezer, and when you increase the temperature to 21 degrees, what happens? Nothing. If you keep increasing the temperature 1 degree at a time, nothing happens until you get to 33. But at 33 degrees, the ice melts. The results are seen. But too often, we don't work consistently enough to break through this plateau. But if we believe that compounding is real and we're doing the work, eventually we will see results. Habits need to persist long enough to break through this plateau of latent potential. So look at this graph. I don't know if you can see my mouse here. We often get stuck in this valley of disappointment when we believe we are doing the work, but there's no results. This is when we quit, but we really need to just hang in there a little bit longer and the results will come. Depending on the habit, this could take months or even years before a result is seen, but I'll talk about how to minimize that time a little bit later. Let's talk about goals. Many people set goals, especially at the new year. There's all kinds of tricks and tactics for creating SMART goals and achieving them. And for some things, such goals can be really good. But when it comes to transforming your life, breaking bad habits, and living a lifestyle of healthy habits, there are significant problems with goals. Most goals are never achieved because people quit. They don't work, as evidenced by the 90% failure rate of New Year's resolutions within the first few months. Atomic Habits suggests another way. Let's consider 4 problems with goals. Number 1, winners and losers have the same goals. Winners have a better system. So what's the goal of elite Olympic athletes? Well, it's to win the gold medal. But if only one can win, then it can't be the goal that differentiates the competitors. Number 2, achieving a goal is only a momentary change. Goals do not address the root cause of the problem. A goal to clean your room is great and achievable, but if you don't fix the sloppy hoarding habits that led to the messy room, you're left chasing the same outcome because you never changed the system behind it. So when you solve your problems at the results level, you only solve them temporarily. But when you fix the inputs, then the outputs fix themselves. Number 3, goals restrict your happiness. The problem with the goal first mentality is that you're continually putting happiness off until the next milestone. And when you fall in love with the process rather than the product, you don't have to wait to give yourself permission to be happy. Finally, number 4, goals are at odds with long-term progress. For example, after the race, most people will quit training. Now what is what we say? The purpose of setting goals is to win the game. The purpose of building systems is to continue playing the game. It's your commitment to the process that will determine your progress. Now, I spent many years answering the now what question in my healthy living journey. I was convinced that I needed to pay for a race and have it on the calendar so that I could train for it, or else I wouldn't be motivated to keep in shape. The glory of achieving the goal or finishing the race was very short-lived and unsatisfying, really. So my response was always, I guess I'll just sign up for another event. But I found this cycle to be exhausting. The training lost its appeal and it became work, and the finish line was only momentarily rewarding. So I finally just realized that this wasn't working. And I needed to change my mind about racing and competing, such goals, and instead improve my systems for healthy living so I could enjoy the journey of training without the pressure of performing for an event. And now that I've done that, I really enjoy the training routine that I've established as part of my lifestyle, and I can enjoy an occasional event without the pressure and the letdown of it being the end goal. So when people ask what I'm training for, I can just say, nothing. It's just who I am. And I feel like I'm healthier and happier for it. All right, so are you with me so far? Is this making sense? It's not that goals are bad, it's just that they're incomplete. Systems are best. So let's make this personal. Changing our habits is challenging because we change the wrong thing. So, all right, if you don't get anything else out of this presentation, I really want you to catch this and apply it to your life. Your habits shape your identity, and your identity shapes your habits. Now, here's what I mean. People will typically pursue a goal or a healthy habit because they want the result or the outcome. They might say, I want to be skinny, so I'll stick to this diet and then I can be skinny. The desire is to be skinny. The desire to be skinny is the outcome, and the process is the diet. The problem is they don't consider the beliefs that drive their actions. They never shift away from the way they see themselves, and they don't realize that their old identity can sabotage their new plans to change. So with outcome-based habits, the focus is on what you want to achieve. But with identity-based habits, the focus is on who you wish to become. So, for example, let's consider two people resisting a cigarette. One says, no thanks, I'm trying to quit, while the other one says, no thanks, I'm not a smoker. The first person still believes they are a smoker and they are trying to be something else. The second person recognizes that smoking may have been part of their former life, but not their current one. So they no longer identify as someone who smokes. Do you see the subtle difference there? It may sound like mental gymnastics, but I'm telling you, this is really important. It's hard to change your habits if you never change the underlying belief that led to the past behavior. Your behaviors are usually a reflection of your identity. What you do is an indication of the type of person you believe that you are. So when your behavior and your identity are fully aligned, you're no longer pursuing behavior change. You're simply acting like the type of person you already believe yourself to be. You see, every action is a vote for the type of person you wish to become. So then, quite literally, you become your habits. Or to put it another way, you are your habits now. This is pretty convicting to me. I'm compelled to look in the mirror and evaluate my actions against who I'm aiming to be. The reason I am the way that I am today is not because of my mama or the government or bad luck or good luck, but by my choices. So when I can own that and take appropriate action to align my desired identity with my behavior, then I'm growing in the right direction and my healthy habits will stick. Does that make sense? This is really important. There's no tricks or tactics that will work long term until we get this identity part right. And one more thing I need you to hear about this. It's highly possible that there's a negative voice in your head telling you lies about yourself. I have one. We need to remember what is true and don't give that voice space to derail you from becoming who you aim to be. All right, so the most practical way to change who you are then is to change what you do. You don't need to be perfect. The goal is just to win most of the time. So how do we do that? Well, we start by asking ourselves, who is the type of person that could get the outcome that I want? You need to know who you want to be because you have the power to change your beliefs about yourself. You have a choice in every moment. So then, habits are not about having something, they are about becoming someone. Atomic Habits says we can build better habits in 4 steps by practicing the habit loop. First, let's summarize why healthy habits are important. Habits free up mental capacity so you can allocate your attention to other tasks. Habits do not restrict freedom, they create it. In fact, the people who don't have their habits handled are often the ones with the least amount of freedom. So if you're always being forced to make decisions about simple tasks, then you have less time for freedom. Building good habits in the present allows you to do more of what you want in the future. That's freedom. The ultimate purpose of habits is to solve the problems of life with as little energy and effort as possible. And your brain is already doing this automatically through a feedback loop. This habit loop is continually scanning the environment, predicting what will happen next, trying out different responses, and learning from the results. So let's use this natural feedback loop to change our behavior. Just ask yourself, how can I make the desired behavior obvious, attractive, easy, and satisfying? Have you ever wondered, why don't I do what I say I'm going to do? Or why don't I lose the weight or stop smoking or save for retirement? Why do I say something is important to me but never seem to make time for it? The answer is in these 4 laws. So next, we'll take a deeper dive into each of these 4 laws. Make your habit obvious, attractive, easy, and satisfying. All right, so how are we doing? You guys still with me? I hope you're taking notes. Law number 1, make it obvious. The more automatic a behavior becomes, the less likely we are to consistently think about it. We're, we're so used to doing what we've always done that we don't stop to question whether it's the right thing to do at all. Many of our failures in our performance are largely the result of our lack of self-awareness. And one of the great challenges in changing habits is maintaining awareness of what we're actually doing. So one way to make good habits obvious is to ask, does this behavior help me become the type of person I wish to be? Does this habit cast a vote for or against my desired identity? Also, people who make a specific plan for when and where they will perform a new habit are more likely to follow through. Being specific helps you to say no to distractions because you are very clear on what needs to happen instead. Another way to make it obvious is habit stacking. I love this one. You're tying your desired behavior into something that you already do every day. Be very specific in selecting the proper cue to stack. For example, I will stretch for 10 minutes as soon as I get up every morning. This is a habit of mine that has worked very well. Or I'll do air squats while brushing my teeth. Here's a self-control secret that's obvious but also very profound. It's easier to avoid temptation than to resist it. So spend less time in tempting situations. We become a byproduct of the environment that we live in. It's impossible to consistently stick to positive habits in a negative environment. So strive to reduce exposure to the cue that causes a bad habit. Now, this could be very hard for some people once they realize that some of the places they go or the people they spend time with do not promote the positive habits they're pursuing. As a teenager, my dad would say, nothing good ever happens after 10 o'clock. And I thought he was lame, but he's also right. I get into far less trouble when I'm home at night. Or maybe you've heard the saying that you become like the 5 people you spend the most time with. Who are these people, and are they supportive of your healthy habits? Some of us may need to get some new friends, but more about that in a minute. Law number 2, make it attractive. The more attractive an opportunity is, the more likely it is to become habit forming. Habits are a dopamine-driven feedback loop. When dopamine rises, so does our motivation to act. Through a study of our brain's neurotransmitters like dopamine, scientists discovered that dopamine is released not only when you experience pleasure, but also when you anticipate it. Think about that. Gamblers get a dopamine spike right before placing the bet, not after they win. And daydreaming about an upcoming vacation can be more satisfying than actually being on vacation. I have experienced that one. So then, desire is the engine that drives behavior. Making the habit attractive will help it to stick. Temptation bundling is one way to make your habit more attractive. The strategy is to pair an action that you want to do with an action that you need to do. You're more likely to find a behavior attractive if you get to do one of your favorite things at the same time. So for example, you want to watch TV, but you need to exercise. So at the commercials, you choose to do push-ups or squats. Secondly, surround yourself with people who have the habits you want to have yourself. You'll rise together. One of the most effective things you can do to build better habits is to join a culture where one, your desired behavior is the normal behavior, and two, you already have something in common with the group. I like to say you've got to find your people. It's as important for us as adults as it is for our kids. Next, habits are attractive when we associate them with positive feelings, and we can use this insight to our advantage. A mental exercise to practice for making your habits attractive is to change one word. Have to get to. Reframing your habits to highlight their benefits rather than their drawbacks is a fast and clever way to reprogram your mind and make it seem more attractive. Law number 3, make it easy. Healthy habits will last to become your lifestyle when they are easy. So here's a few ideas to help make any habit easier. First, you just need to get your reps in. Habits form based on frequency, not time. And this is a common mistake in our thinking. Instead of asking, how long does it take to build a habit? We should be asking, how many does it take? So to build a habit, you need to practice it. You need to take the actions needed to make progress. The amount of time you have been performing a habit is not as important as the number of times you have performed it. Next, let's be honest. Our real motivation is to be lazy and to do what is convenient. Our brains are naturally wired that way. It's part of our survival instinct. The law of least effort says that the less energy a habit requires, the more likely it is to occur. So the idea is to make it as easy as possible in the moment to do the things that pay off in the long run. For example, to increase your savings, have your account set up to automatically deposit funds to a separate savings account. Then you never have to think about it. You're doing the work once to set it up, and then the savings grow automatically. Third, you can beat procrastination with the 2-minute rule. Make your habits as easy as possible to start. Once you've started doing the right thing, it's much easier to continue doing it. Or to put it another way, you just master the habit of showing up. I don't know how many times I really don't want to exercise, but I start anyway. And once I do, it seems like I always finish and I feel much better for it. I choose to exercise when I don't feel like it because doing so helps confirm the type of person that I want to be. All right, law number 4, make it satisfying. Here is the cardinal rule of behavior change. What is rewarded is repeated, and what is punished is avoided. So the first 3 laws, remember, make it obvious, make it attractive, make it easy, increase the odds that a behavior will be performed this time. The 4th law, make it satisfying, increases the odds that it will be performed next time. Now we've completed the habit loop. It's human nature to seek immediate satisfaction. The problem is that the rewards are immediate for bad habits and delayed for good habits. And the cost or the consequence of bad habits is delayed whereas the cost of good habits are in the present. That's a real bummer, right? We need to practice delayed gratification, but it's really hard. So to make delayed gratification easier and to get the habit to stick, you need to feel immediately successful, even if it's in a very small way. So like practicing the don't miss two principle, don't break the chain. Comedian Jerry Seinfeld has practiced this his entire career by making sure he writes every day. Marking the calendar that his writing task is done is satisfying, especially as the string of red X's grows over the weeks and months. And if for some reason he would miss a day, he would simply ensure that he did not miss 2 days in a row. And the result? Well, he's among the most famous and successful comedians of all time. Now, we know that things are going to happen and you're going to slip up or get lazy or consciously choose poorly, even, but nobody is perfect. So just be encouraged that the first mistake is never the one that ruins you. It's the spiral of repeated mistakes that follow. Missing once is an accident. Missing twice is the start of a new pattern. So then, just show up. Get started. Take a small, simple action. Doing so, remember, is casting votes for the type of person you want to become. On the flip side of this, pain is an effective teacher. If a failure is painful, it gets fixed. If it's painless, it gets ignored. We repeat bad habits because they serve us in some way, and that makes them hard to abandon. So being accountable is a great way to avoid the downward spiral of repeated mistakes. Knowing that somebody is watching is a really powerful motivator. So tell someone who you are aiming to be and what you're trying to do, and give them permission to ask you about it. All right, so we made it through the 4 laws of lasting healthy habits. Make them obvious, attractive, easy, and satisfying. We also reviewed some important concepts about how our brains work, how habits and our identity go together, the value of creating systems over goals to help our habits to stick. Lastly, I have some bonus material to share before we wrap up with our next steps. All right, so here's some advanced tactics. Let's talk about talent. The truth about talent is that everybody has it, not just the elites that we celebrate in sports and music or business. So the key is for us to find our talent and put it to use. Another way to say it is that your genetics do not determine your destiny. They determine your areas of opportunity. So the key is to direct your efforts toward areas that both excite you and match your natural skills. So for example, the Olympic swimmer Michael Phelps is an ideal example here. His freakishly long arms and torso and his short legs are ideal for fast swimming. And he used what he had to his full potential. Now, if you look at anyone who is extraordinarily successful in anything, you're likely to find that they used the gift and skills that they had to their full potential, and we can do the same thing. In other words, we should work hard at the things that come easy to us, whatever it is that we're talented at. All right, next, here's a couple of ideas about motivation. Motivation is fleeting, and it should not be counted on to sustain us through the process of integrating healthy habits to lifestyle. So consider the Goldilocks rule, which says that humans experience peak motivation when working on tasks that are right on the edge of their current abilities. So the point is to challenge yourself. You don't want it to be too hard, but and not too easy either, but kind of right in the middle, just right. Also know that really successful people feel the same lack of motivation as everybody else. The difference is they still find a way to show up despite the feelings of boredom. Successful people understand this simple truth. The greatest threat to success is not our failure, but boredom. A mentor friend of mine said, Don't be the guy that says, it works so well that I quit. Because that's what happens when we get bored. We got to keep showing up and casting votes for the type of person you aim to become. Find ways to make your healthy habits obvious, attractive, easy, and satisfying. As the Star Wars Mandalorian would say, this is the way. It doesn't matter what you're trying to become better at. If you only do the work when it's convenient, exciting, or when you're motivated, then you're never going to be consistent enough to achieve remarkable results. The only way to become excellent is to be endlessly fascinated by doing the same thing over and over. We got to figure out how to fall in love with the boredom. Lastly, there's a downside to creating good habits. When habits become automatic, it's easy to get lazy about them. So the solution is to establish a system of reflection and review. This is a very important mental fitness activity that we often overlook. So let's be sure to schedule time to reflect. Reflect and review enables the long-term improvement of all of our habits because we become aware of our mistakes and helps us consider possible paths for improvement. Without reflecting, we make excuses and we lie to ourselves. And we also have no process for determining whether we're performing any better or worse compared to yesterday. So here's a helpful list of questions that you should ask yourself. Get your pencil ready because I'm going to go through this really fast. What went well? What didn't go well? What did I learn? Also, what are the core values that drive my life and work? And how am I living with integrity and alignment with those values right now? Here's another list of questions that I kind of like. What do I want to focus on? And what's in the way? Or what do I need more of or less of? And what needs to change? What matters most? Lastly, you can fill in the blank to these statements. I feel alive when, I'm challenged by, I'm at my best when, I love, I struggle, I value. Just fill in the blanks. Building healthy habits requires intentionality and keeping front of mind your identity, who you are and who you're aiming to become. Remember, who you are determines what you do, and what you do reflects who you are. There is no permanent solution or finish line. Whenever you're looking to improve, rotate through these 4 laws of behavior change until you find the next bottleneck. Make it obvious, attractive, easy, and satisfying. Round and round we go, always looking for the next way to get 1% better. The secret to getting lasting results is to never stop making improvements. Remember, small habits don't just add up, they compound. All right, that's it. So what's next? I would just challenge you to apply even one idea that you heard today. And remember that if this kind of stuff is really interesting to you and you have a bunch of questions or you need some more help, I am happy to follow up with you one-on-one. And if maybe there's enough interest, we can do another class or a smaller group to dive into this kind of stuff a little bit deeper. So let me know what you think about all of that. That's it. Thank you for listening. Have a great day, everybody.